ho! Welcome, listeners. It's me, Santa Claus. I hope you've all been good this year, for I'll be going on my annual sojourn in just a few days. Get out of here, Santa! You got shit to do. You've been warned. Stop breaking into our recording studio. Sorry, everybody. Hi, it's Jethro Nolan, one of the hosts of Drunkard's Walk. We had a large bearded homeless man break into our studio, and I don't know what is going on with the outfit that he was wearing. But anyway, I'm Jethro Nolan, one of your hosts for Drunkard's Walk, and with me, hopefully, as always, is not a strange homeless man, but instead Matt Hartman.
I'm a strange home-having man.
There, I see what you did there.
Yes.
Well, hello there, Matt Hartman.
Hello, Jethro, and thank you for getting rid of the jolliest man of the year. That's I don't know. That seemed aggressive, overly aggressive to me.
Well, I'm in a bit of a bad mood because my parking space in front of the studio was occupied by 9 reindeer. So
right.
That'll put you right in a foul mood.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was already itching for a fight, and fortunately, there happened to be somebody who had broken in. Although I saw no signs of forced entry, merely the chimney that we have the flue was open. So what are you going to do?
I would close that if I were you, because you're going to get a lot of birds and a draft probably down in through there.
Absolutely. So well, normally it is closed, but hey, what are you going to do? So it is our Christmas episode of Drunkard's Walk. And for those of you who don't normally join us, first of all, welcome. Excellent time, the holiday season, to join the podcast.
It is, yeah.
And we merrily make our jolly way from one Wikipedia topic to another by clicking only on the links within Wikipedia. And we always learn a few things. We go some exciting places, and the goal is to kind of get there in the shortest route possible. But I tell you what, no matter how short the route, the journey always takes us through knowledge.
Yes, it does always take us through knowledge. And isn't that the greatest gift of all?
It really is.
You know, some say it's love, some say it's our children, but no, I say knowledge. Knowledge is the greatest gift of all.
I would have put money before all of those things, because theoretically money can turn into love or children or knowledge. It's more fungible in that way.
But can it turn in it? I guess it can turn into knowledge. I guess that makes sense. As
a man who's paying for his daughter's college tuition as we speak, I absolutely hope that money can turn into knowledge.
Yeah, I suppose that you're right. It hadn't occurred to me in that particular way before, but yeah, that sounds okay.
That is because deep within my cold, dark heart, I am an economist. I suppose.
I see. Well, then, happy Scrooge Day to you, I suppose.
Indeed, and not unlike Scrooge, today we're going to be visited by someone who's going to teach us a lesson.
Ooh, will it be a ghost from our past?
It certainly will be, and also a ghost from our present. And given the way that the limited number of rotation of podcast guests go, probably a ghost from our future.
Sure.
Although everything true except for the ghost part, because she's very much a real live human being.
Oh, okay.
Kaitlin Moore, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for having me back.
Oh.
Thank you for tolerating our themed introduction of you.
Yes, exactly. And thank you for coming. We appreciate
I feel much like a ghost whenever I'm under the lights looking at myself at my own video recording. I'm rather pale, so I'll take it.
There we go. We have the Irish do not photograph well. That's why so few of us are actually film stars.
Is that why?
But there are many reasons.
Okay. The only reason why. It's definitely the only reason.
That's the only reason. All right. That makes sense to me. I like it.
Colin Farrell's soaking up all the Irish film roles. So how's your pandemic been? It's been a while since we've had you on.
Lonely, isolated. It's long, like most of us, but surviving.
Good.
That's good.
Good.
That's good.
That's the best way to do it.
I did get engaged during the pandemic. I don't know if that had happened before I was here last or not.
That's fantastic.
Congratulations.
And that happened fairly early on in the pandemic, if memory serves.
Yes, it was April. So about a month after official lockdown began.
Very good. Well, re-congratulations if we hadn't congratulated you previously. Indeed. Are you waiting for post-pandemic times before you wed? Or
yes, we sort of were like, oh, next year. And then it was like, oh, next year. And now we're sort of like, oh, next year again. But we'll see what happens. Not in a rush.
Well, there you go. Well, that's wonderful. I hope you have the appropriate celebration and length of engagement that you want to have.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And last time you were here, if memory serves, and again, memory frequently doesn't serve, so feel free to correct me. Albino Redwood was our destination.
Oh, definitely.
That was, I remember after the guest portion of that episode ended, you were then, and I believe remain to this day, the most enthusiastic and best informed about the topic suggestion of all the people we've ever had on, because you knew so much about it and were very eager to share that knowledge, and it was a delight to behold.
Well, thank you. I get really obsessed with certain topics sometimes. I can get a little giddy about it. So
yeah.
Well, that was also you should know. So that was our most downloaded episode of all time. And I would love to tell you that it has to do with your topic suggestion. Unfortunately, the real reason is because the title of that episode was Postmodern Jukebox 2 ? And the question mark turned out to be Albino Redwood. But for whatever reason, on Pandora, where some people may be listening to our podcast now, when you searched Postmodern Jukebox, one of the first things that came up was our episode. And so people were, of course, looking for music and instead finding our podcast, downloading it, and then I'm sure being incredibly disappointed as we had nothing related to that on it. But
outstanding.
Yeah.
I was like, I do have a giant Irish Catholic family, but I don't know that explains.
No, it was that we generally get around maybe 50 downloads per episode. Like that's generally where we are. This one was in like the hundreds. There were hundreds of downloads of this episode, and it's no longer available. So like publicly, like you need to be a patron on our Patreon in order to listen to it now. But yeah, it was just download after download of it. I every week I was like, wow, more and more people just certainly disappointed, because the next episode it was not anywhere near that high. So you were like,
so they weren't coming back,
right? They were definitely not coming back. So oh well.
So this episode will certainly either confirm or disconfirm that hypothesis. Although I will say that our starting point is also something that is incredibly popular, Matt. The famed Russian-born hockey player Alexander Ovechkin, and I feel like there's a lot of fans out there who are likely to celebrate him and the fine work that he has done, both on and off the ice.
Yeah, I'm sure all of the podcast listeners we get on the NHL.com website will be searching him and accidentally downloading this episode. It'll be fantastic.
I do have some feelers out to the NHL marketing people to talk about a partnership, but that has yet to bear fruit.
I mean, at this point, you would think that they would take it. They're not doing particularly well monetarily, is my understanding. So.
Yeah, I understand that the Pittsburgh Penguins are about to be sold off to Boston.
They are. That's correct. The Fenway Group. They're not just in Boston. That's the Liverpool. My wife's very excited about the fact that we will have a Liverpool connection to the Penguins. So
very cool. Yeah. Very nice indeed. Well, we've talked about our starting point. Kaitlin, can you educate us as to where we will be going this evening?
So my topic for you is called limnic eruption. And it's a very rare form of natural disaster. So particularly festive for Christmas.
Not unlike this podcast. It is a very rare form of natural disaster. So tell me about this type of natural disaster.
Let's hear about it.
So limnic eruption is the eruption or overturn of a lake. So limnic is having to do with fresh water. And it under very specific conditions, you can have a phenomenon where gases that are trapped in solution at the bottom of a very deep lake that doesn't mix. So the gas stays there and lives there most of the time. If there's a disturbance to that lake, the gas can rush to the surface and then form a cloud that will asphyxiate life in the radius of the cloud surrounding the lake. And this has actually happened a couple of times in real life.
Wow. Where has it happened most recently or most famously?
So the most recently, and the only ones we were kind of around for to document, were both in the 80s, 2 years apart, both in Cameroon in like the same volcano chain. It was two different lakes. I have only really read about this as a kid and more recently to prepare, but one of them is called Lake Manoun and the other one is called Lake Neos. And the first time it happened was 1984. And about 37 people died And they didn't really know why, because people had just dropped dead. They seemed in the middle of what they were doing. There were a couple of survivors who were able to describe, there was a cloud, I smelled rotten eggs, but nobody really knew what was going on. And then 2 years later, it happened less than 100 miles away in Cameroon at this other lake, Lake Nyos, and over 1,700 people died, as well as a huge amount of livestock in the valley surrounding the particular lake. That prompted a wider investigation and led them to test the lake and examine it, and then really start to figure out what was going on.
So thanks for the downer.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
It has been a while, Jethro, since we've gone to like a real disaster of some kind. So
if memory serves, your father gave us the Hawk's Nest tunnel disaster, which caused a bunch of asbestosis or some terrible lung infections for hundreds of workers.
Silicon or silicatosis or something like that. And then we had the Gionja accident, I believe, as well. So we've had all kinds of terrible things happen, and it's great to get back to it, honestly.
At least we get to start the episode on the bright shining point of Alexander Ovechkin.
It's one disaster to another, if you ask me.
The role model for children everywhere.
God.
So we have these two sort of Congolese incidents. Are
Cameroon.
there?
Cameroon.
Cameroon. I'm
Come
sorry.
on now.
My apologies.
Oh,
my apologies. We'll edit that out.
No, we will not.
There is another lake in the Democratic Republic of Congo on the border between it and Rwanda that is at risk of the same type of eruption.
At risk,
and that's what I was thinking.
So, how do they know it's at risk of this happening? Like, what are the telltale signs that this may occur?
So the three known lakes are the ones that I've named. I didn't name. Lake Kivu is the other one that's on the border of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and they are deep. They are lakes that don't mix. So the water levels that, the strata of the lake stay as they are unless something happens. And they are near volcanic ranges. And so the accumulation of the gas is thought to be because of the escape of gas through fissures at the bottom of the lake. The gas bleeds up into the water at the very bottom. And then you need really deep lakes because there has to be enough pressure for the gas to stay trapped in solution. Like if you think about if you open a can of soda, that you don't get the bubbles until you open the can and the pressure drops, and then all of a sudden the bubbles fly out.
Right.
And so the three lakes that have been identified are these three lakes in particular. And the Lake Kivu, they know about it because they've studied the lake. They've identified how saturated it is with CO2 in its lowest levels. It's in a known volcanic region, and it's also near a much denser population center. And so after the disasters in the 80s, more research was done to identify other areas potentially at risk and also how to potentially mitigate future disaster.
Oh, wow. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good that that's being done.
So if it's near, if one of the risk factors is being near a volcano, is it the volcanoes are usually near or frequently near the edges of tectonic plates? Is it like earthquake type activity that does the mixing that unleashes the gas at the bottom of the lakes?
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest risk factors. So you can have volcanoes give you sort of lots of threats. You have the risk of seismic activity. The eruption itself can cause lava to enter the lake, and a temperature increase would also alter how much gas can stay in solution and potentially release a large cloud. And then the one Lake Nyos, actually, they found out it was a landslide. They were able to see and go back and find that a landslide into the lake is what caused the disruption to release that particular cloud. Oh. And so, yes, those volatile regions, I know Lake Kivu is in the East African Rift, just sort of make that perfect storm of possibility.
Gotcha. And presumably when you say no mixing, that these are lakes that don't see a tremendous or steady influx of rainfall or river water or anything, which allows them to sort of be a little bit more staid than your average lake.
Correct.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. I mean, it's weird, the stuff that sort of just builds up in nature, and it only happens in certain pockets. But you are the queen of the natural phenomenon between albino redwoods and limnic eruptions, where we're learning all about the strange things that nature can do.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, thank you. It's a wild, wonderful world out there.
It really is. But definitely more fatalities from this than from albino redwoods, unless the ghostly haunting of albino redwoods has caused lumberjacks to be frightened to death at scale.
As far as I know, yes. Fewer fatalities with the redwoods.
There we go.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good. Well, this is fascinating. And it sounds like it's not something that, I mean, it sounds very rare.
Yes, exactly.
But I guess you said there's only been a couple that we've been around for. Has there been indication that this occurred in kind of prehistory as well? Or
like did Aristotle write about this stuff, or their cave paintings?
I am not a geologist, so I'm sure there's more evidence, but I do know that there has been evidence recovered where they found deposits of perfectly preserved animals, so frogs and stuff. So there was amphibious life at least available, and that's perfectly preserved in the fossil layer. And there's other, I don't know, geological data. Again, I'm not an expert to support the idea that this has happened before. Germany comes to mind. I don't know if I'm right about that, where they think one happened, but that it's mostly fossil record evidence of this having happened before.
Okay.
Yeah. So apologies to our listener for us having a non-geologist on the podcast. And Kaitlin, if between now and the next time that you're on, if you could quickly get a geology degree, we'd appreciate that.
I mean, I will, just to spare myself the mortification of having to admit that in public.
I mean, that must be rough at parties too, I'm assuming, right? When people find out and they just like,
what do you do for a living? I'm not a geologist.
Need another drink.
See you later.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, did we? I don't know if we discussed this on the last time that you were on. What do you do for a living? Because it sounds like you are involved in natural phenomenon in some way.
I am the director of operations for a small test prep company.
Okay.
I went to school for biological science. I have a graduate degree, a master's in cellular and molecular biology. Okay. I went to pursue that to decide if I wanted to get my PhD or go to medical school. And the answer turned out to be neither. Oh. And I got offered a job out of school, and I'm still there. Get to work from home. It's the best.
I will also say for listeners that Kaitlin is a absolute genius at Microsoft Excel, and has helped me on more than one occasion with a thorny Excel problem. And for those of us who are in the Excel tribe, I'm talking to you, Dave Foreman. I know you're out there. That Kaitlin has a degree of knowledge and is generally willing to share it. And it's always a pleasure to talk Excel with my fellow. Matt, just to translate for you, as you are to Star Trek, I am to Microsoft Excel.
Oh,
so that's why I geek out on that stuff very much. I'm always down for a good if error or VLOOKUP or pivot table discussion.
I see. And probably does that have the same thing as the Star Trek movies, where like the odd numbered year versions of Excel aren't as good as the even numbered year? So like Excel 2016 is like way better than Excel 2015.
So I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. Although
then you're not as big of a fan.
I know the exact software that could help me make that determination.
I see.
And it's Microsoft Excel.
Okay.
And I know, and this is how. And again, Kayla and I don't know each other particularly well, but I do know that she probably bristled when I said VLOOKUP, when she would have insisted that index and match are a better pair.
I wouldn't have shamed you, but thanks for pointing it out.
I appreciate the generosity of spirit, and the only thing holding me back from fully embracing and endorsing that is my own ignorance and hesitance around index and match. But for the few times that I have embraced it, it has proven far more useful than VLOOKUP, in which the index row has to be the one all the way to the left. So, you know what? This is really a topic for my spinoff podcast, which is Excellent, which we have Excel and then parentheses Lent. And anyway, you'll find it on our Patreon.
You will not. Well, Kaitlin, thank you so much for coming on, giving us this topic suggestion. We really appreciate it, and can't wait to try to figure out how we're going to get there from.
Yeah. Good luck, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy the downer on the episode, and hope to see you again soon.
Yes,
super.
Indeed. Happy holidays.
You too. Take care.
Well, she is always a delight.
Yeah.
She's seriously though, she has like more in-depth information on these topics. And it's not like she's, again, repeatedly, if we've established nothing else, she's not a geologist.
No.
So this is not a phenomenon from her field of expertise. And yet she still has the kind of curiosity and enthusiasm for learning random stuff that she just knows a lot about it, which is always a great delight because I'm envious of that level of nerdery in any field.
And it's nice to see that she's achieved so much despite not being a geologist.
Yeah.
She's really overcome that. And I know
that the world has been stacked against the non-geologists for some time.
Yeah.
And I mean, first of all, a lot of non-geologists will like fall down a crevasse.
Oh, a ton.
Or a rock slide just because they don't know what to look out for.
Yep. And as they're falling down the crevasse, they can't even identify the different layers that they're seing. They probably call it a gorge. Just,
and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yelling, and it's a mess. It's a mess.
Wow.
But you know what's not a mess is the drink that I'm drinking right now. Are you drinking a drink tonight?
Oh, I'm having a couple. That's a great segue, by the way. So go ahead and tell us about what fabulous beverage.
So
I hope it's appropriately themed for the season.
Of course it is. I wish that I had some eggnog, but I don't. But I do enjoy a good eggnog. Throw a little bourbon in that. But instead, tonight I'm drinking another beer. It is the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Peppermint Porter. I wanted to have as many P's as possible so that I could blow out the mic here. But yeah, it's great. It's a nice, tasty. It almost tastes like a peppermint patty. Like it's got that like dark chocolatey taste, and it's got that peppermint, and it's just a tasty little festive beverage for the holiday season. How about you? You have anything?
That's wonderful. Well, I am having an eggnog. It is the Christmas season.
Indeed.
So I am having a delightful eggnog here, as you can see on the Zoom call, out of my Drunkard's Walk rocks glass. It is, but though because I am on the keto, I am having a eggnog without the eggnog.
Oh,
so it's just a bourbon.
That's not really eggnog then.
But isn't it though? So this is a Jefferson Reserve small batch bourbon, which I picked up today because again, Christmas season, and there's no greater gift than the gift of democracy, I feel. And we should enjoy it because who knows how much longer it will last.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Well, let's hope at least into the new year, huh? Let's all cross our fingers for that one.
Fingers crossed.
All right. So we are going from Alexander Ovechkin to Limnic Eruption. And we have to make our predictions as to how many steps we think it's going to take. So I'm going to go ahead and write down, a number this time, Jethro.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to write down, I'm going to do, what's it called? A rebus.
Okay.
Which is one of those puzzles where you show like a picture of a bee.
Yeah.
And then
like an eye. Usually there's an eye in there somewhere.
Plus sign, a picture of an eyeball. So, it's like BI or by.
By, yeah. Right. Yeah. You get it. That's a great idea. I love that idea. And I also love the idea of sallying forth here and seeing what we can do. I also, it is the Christmas season here. So I decided to try to liven things up.
What's that? Oh, is it that asshole who parked in my spot getting away with his reindeer?
Yes. I think it might've been, he's taking off, with his wonderful things. I have found a Christmas soundboard. Good news for us because it's got things like
want a Sprite cranberry?
You know what I mean? Like very festive stuff in here.
What was that last one? Was that want a spray cranberry?
Want a Sprite cranberry? That's I believe LeBron James asking that question.
Is that a traditional LeBron James Christmas beverage?
It was a commercial. I don't remember how long ago, but it was a while ago.
God damn it, Carmen!
You have.
Oh, geez. Yeah, we got a lot of things going on here. So. We'll try to pepper those in as the evening goes on here.
I feel jealous. I clearly need to up my soundboard game and find a way of involving a soundboard in a future episode here.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, there's some.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
You see, we got some good stuff on here.
That is from a movie that was shown in Home Alone, if memory serves.
That's right. A movie that is not a real movie that was shown in Home Alone.
It's not a real movie.
It is not.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It is kind of a parody of an actual movie. I think in Home Alone, it's called Angels with Dirty Faces, and the real movie is called like I don't even remember, but it's something similar to that.
Angels with No Names or something.
Yeah,
is it a Jimmy Cagney movie?
I don't know. Yeah, it's something along those lines, but I don't remember for sure. So anyway,
Well, Matt, we're talking about a lot of fun things. We're talking about our beverages. We're talking about our number guesses. Yeah. We're talking about Christmas soundboards, but we're not talking about something even more enjoyable, which is the incredibly long and detailed Wikipedia article about your favorite hockey player and mine, Alexander Ovechkin.
Yep.
Listen to that enthusiasm, folks. Yahoo. So, first of all, the man has a storied career and a storied life. There's so many achievements that he's had. There's so many records that are listed here. Washington Capitals records, hockey records. The man deservedly famous, given his incredible achievements in the sport of hockey. A sport which we all know that Matt Hartman loves. So he, by definition, must enjoy its arguably most famous and accomplished player, that of Alexander Ovechkin. But we need to get to a natural disaster. So, obviously Cameroon was mentioned, and this being a phenomenon that has only happened in a couple of lakes in or around Cameroon. We have to, I believe we need to begin every episode with the obligatory dismissal of the geographic route.
Yes. I mean, obviously we need to do that. And I mean, we should very quickly dismiss Mr. Ovechkin as well. Yeah, because nobody likes him.
There you go. So if we do need to get to natural disasters, I do see a link to Donald Trump here, because apparently after Ovechkin and the Capitals won the Stanley Cup championship, did you know that Ovechkin won the Stanley Cup championship in 2019?
It's Christmas! You have ruined Christmas, Parsons.
All right. This is going to be... Are you only communicating via soundboard now?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. He won the Stanley Cup. That's great.
So that is a route which gets us away from Ovechkin to somebody you probably dislike even more, which is Donald Trump.
That is true. You will notice that in the early life section, it mentions that he had an idol, and his idol was an actual amazing hockey player named Mario Lemieux.
Aha, there we go.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep. So if you want to get good, that's what you're looking at. I think we're going to have some trouble getting out of here, it not being geography. And I know we don't want that. I just think it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one.
How dare you? How dare you? Why do you say that?
Possible. Well, just difficult. Geography. There's a lot of geographical names in here, but there are also a lot of names of hockey players and hockey teams and hockey awards and hockey games. Like there's very few geological terms in here. I mean, Calgary Flames is on here. I suppose maybe that could get us out.
So
Calgary
just to be clear,
Flames.
Was Ovechkin a geologist? We have to establish that first of all.
Patently not a geologist. Sorry, patently not a geologist.
That is unfortunate that he wasn't a geologist. He should have really planned his life better.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we're looking for something in sort of a natural disaster or at least natural phenomenon route, that is going to be challenging. I wish there were a geologist linked on here, because that would certainly help our case.
I'm trying to think if Don Cherry was ever a geologist. No, he just bad jackets from Don Cherry. I was a little hopeful that, and clearly it's not going to be. I was a little hopeful that ice or ice rink might be linked on here, because that might have gotten us into or pond hockey, right? If he had played any kind of pond hockey, we could have gotten into the kind of lakes and ponds and things like that from there, but not seeing it.
There you go. Well, if you don't like Donald Trump as a natural disaster that we can go towards, we also have Vladimir Putin
Oh my
There was
God.
a link out of here because Ovechkin met with him too. Although, quite frankly, they could have been at the same place because Putin and Trump are such pals, as we all know.
It's absolutely true. I was just reacting to the fact that apparently Ovechkin is a fan of Liverpool FC, which is the football club that my wife roots for. So,
oh wow! So, is this something that your wife is going to have to pick a new football club because even that is too much of a connection to Ovechkin for you?
Maybe.
We'll see.
Or maybe it's divorce time. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. We'll have to talk about it.
Wow. Wow. Emma, please. I know you're listening. Please don't let Matt divorce you over such a trivial.
Did you see in his personal life, it says Ovechkin is currently studying for and is close to obtaining a Doctor of Sciences, the Russian equivalent of a PhD. Ovechkin's field of study is pedagogical sciences.
That is incredible. I was hoping you were going to say geology.
No.
Just because it would be on theme for the episode. Yeah. I mean, do they just give out pedagogical sciences PhDs to famous hockey players, or is this like a legit?
I mean, I would guess in Russia, anything's possible.
That's very discriminatory. There are a lot of fine people that have come out of Russia. I feel like you're unfairly maligning.
I'm just saying in Russia, anything is possible. Whereas here in the United States, only for the rich.
Three things are possible.
That's right.
As we previously discussed, money can turn into knowledge.
Money into knowledge. Yeah, you did mention that.
There you go. It's not particularly efficient, but it can happen.
Okay.
All right. So we do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could stay on Alexander Ovechkin's Wikipedia page all day, but presumably you want to leave it as quickly as possible. So I feel like Donald Trump and natural disasters go hand in hand, and that can get us out of here. It's non. Well, first of all, he was president during, I don't know if you know this, a pandemic.
Yeah.
So a pandemic is a natural phenomenon, although be it more biological than geological.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get to Vladimir Putin and Russia, we can get to the Tunguska explosion referenced in the film Ghostbusters, although that was a meteorite falling from the sky.
Yeah.
It is going to be challenging to get to a geological phenomenon without going through geographic phenomenon. But those are the things that I like to get us out of here. Putin or Trump, either one. I'm good with either.
Boy, I don't like either of those. I know you're a big fan of both.
No. Oh yeah. Well, you know, I'm gunning to be an autocrat here in the Upper St. Clair portion of Pittsburgh.
I understand. So if you recall, I was mentioning the fact that I was hoping that maybe ice would be on here or pond hockey or something along those lines. They are not linked, but there is a link just to ice hockey. And so I wonder if ice hockey might not be the way to go to get into you are going to get to lakes or ponds. You're going to get to ice. You're going to get to water. You're going to get into those things through there. So I actually think rather than going through two people who I just do not want to know anything more about, and to get away from this person I don't want to know anything more about, that ice hockey would actually be the way to go.
You know what? Ice hockey, first played on lakes, it gets us to a body of water. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So ice hockey, it is not the first.
Very close.
We do have some sort of, we have Ovechkin redirects here for other use to see Ovechkin surname.
Yeah.
Eastern Slavic naming convention links here, patronymic family name. But in the article, outside of the pronunciation guide for Ovechkin, it is in the actual article text itself. Ice hockey is the first link.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Ice hockey. And I'm a fan of ice hockey. I've been a fan for a long time. I started my playing of hockey started on decks. I played deck hockey first, and then started learning how to play ice hockey in Washington, actually at the practice facility for the Caps. That was where I first started playing ice hockey. So
my history of ice skating is a little different.
Yeah.
It started in Fort Worth, Texas, a state known for its ice skating capability. On rented skates in what used to be the TRS Center, the Tandy Radio Shack Center, to give you an idea of how old I am and how long ago this was. And it just involved me falling down and hurting myself a lot, to the point at which I no longer wanted to ice skate in any way, shape, or form, and have not been on the rink since, other than at the insistence of my daughter. And again, every time I go on ice skates, I fall down and I hurt my bottom and possibly elbows in a very painful way.
So here's what I'm going to tell you, and you're not going to want to do this, I don't think. But I also was, I mean, I still am a very poor ice skater. I still try to play because I want to, but I'm just not good at skating. I've taken classes. I can't quite get it. But one thing that did markedly improve my skating ability was owning a pair of skates, purchasing a pair of new skates, because the skates you get when you rent them have been sharpened so many times that they are no longer, they shouldn't even be considered ice skates anymore. Like the blade is just no longer good at what it needs to do as far as like cutting into the ice and catching the ice. So when I put on the skates that I purchased for the very first time and skated, I was already 25 times better than I was 10 minutes previous when I'd been wearing rental skates. So if you ever get the chance to try on like a new pair of skates to skate on them or something like that, give it a go, because I think you'll find that it's a lot easier to skate with good skates on.
So duly noted.
Yeah.
But I'm approaching 50.
Yeah.
And I don't think picking up ice skating is going to be on my bingo card for the remainder of my life.
We'll see. Maybe someday
we
you
won't
have
see.
a little ice rink in the backyard or something, or you retire to a little snowy hamlet up north, perhaps. And,
I will be retiring to no snowy hamlets, and also, quite frankly, another formative perspective forming incident.
Yeah.
In terms of me and ice skating happened when I watched Damien Omen 2.
Okay.
In which the father, who is beginning to, he's played by a great actor whose name eludes me at the moment. But I think it is William Holden who plays Damien's father or uncle, because that's right, because Gregory Peck was Damien's father in the original Omen movie, and Bill Holden was his uncle. So after Gregory Peck got shot at the end of the original Omen movie, Damien moves in with his uncle, Richard Thorne.
Mm.
And as soon as Richard Thorne begins to suspect that Damien, something's wrong with him, he falls through the ice and drowns and dies.
Sure. Yeah.
And again, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in the supernatural. I don't believe in Satan. But I tell you what, that Damien, particularly Omen number 2, really fucked me up.
I understand. I get it.
Meshach Taylor, from Designing Women,
mm-hmm.
gets cut in half by a rogue elevator cable in that film. So it's a lot of bad shit goes down in Damien Omen 2.
All right. Well, then avoid that, folks. And also, once again, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I do want to point out there is a Christmas connection here that I found in 1896. The first ice hockey league in the U.S. was formed. The U.S. Amateur Hockey League was founded in New York City shortly after the opening of the artificial ice St. Nicholas rink.
Ho, ho, ho,
Look at that.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
So there you go. St. Nicholas is right here on this page. The Western Pennsylvania Hockey League is in here too. And it started in 1902 as the first to employ professionals as far as ice hockey was concerned.
I'm seeing a lot of interesting stuff about the history of this. Nowhere do I see it mentioning that it started on lakes.
Really?
Or frozen water.
So there's a section called pond hockey. I haven't gotten down there yet.
Precursors. Here we go.
Did you already go and look at that, or?
It is the Scottish game of shinty.
Oh.
And field hockey, including bandy ball, played in England.
Sure.
All right. These games of hockey on ice were sometimes played with a bung.
With a what?
A bung. A plug of cork or oak used as a stopper on a barrel.
Sure. Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. I mean, that was the first thing that I thought of when you said that. Okay.
So if I were to say to you, Matt, would you like to go out and whack the bung for a bit? Clearly you would know that I was talking about a game of hockey.
Uh-huh.
So are you seeing frozen lake hockey somewhere?
I haven't gotten to it yet. Like I said, I saw up in the original little table of contents that there was a section for pond hockey. I am going through this kind of a little bit at a time, so I haven't gotten to it yet. But no, I haven't found it yet.
All right. Well, pond hockey is actually down at the bottom of it. It's not included in the history, but pond hockey is its own link. Which, because it really it goes straight to the indoor variants of hockey, which is obviously not what we're looking for.
That's true. That's definitely true. That's not what we're looking for. All right, I'll go back up to the top and see if I can find what I was talking about. I'm going to assume it's the same. Yeah, you're right.
Now, pond hockey does reference it played generally as pickup hockey on lakes, ponds, or artificial outdoor rinks, none of which are linked.
None of which are linked.
None whatsoever.
Why would that be the case? It doesn't make any sense.
Because it seems like they are really focusing on the non-lake versions of hockey.
Yeah, but this is ice. This is ice hockey. It's not even. It seems ridiculous that wouldn't be included, doesn't it?
So maybe obviously people have been doing ice skating for a long, long time, and the actual game of hockey coalesced at a more evolved or mature point in the development of skating sports to where it only happened indoors. Because it's hard to plan for a organized game if you don't know if the lake is going to be frozen over or not. So maybe it required the capital requirements of hockey as an economic activity required the knowledge in advance that certain water would be frozen, which is why it lended itself towards it. I mean, imagine going to a football game not knowing whether or not the field would exist to play on. It'd be hard to monetize that.
I can't disagree with that. I guess I just assumed that there would be, talk of hockey without monetization as well. That's what I was hoping for.
Again, as previously mentioned, I am an economist at heart. I will say that under the precursors section, that a couple of paragraphs down in 1825, John Franklin wrote, "The game of hockey played on the ice was the morning sport," which makes sense, of course, because morning would be the time when the ice would be coldest.
Sure.
On Great Bear Lake, and Great Bear Lake is linked. And Great Bear Lake is a lake.
Is that too geographical, do you think?
I don't think so, because I don't think it's a Great Bear Lake. So here's a distinction I'm going to make about our common and frequent gripe about the geographical route. Is that too often we are using artificial things that were imposed by man, like national boundaries and such, versus something like, if we were to say the Rocky Mountains, well, the Rocky Mountains, regardless of whatever words we use to refer to them, are an actual geological fact about planet Earth.
Yes.
They exist in one place, and they, whatever name we call them may differ from, millennia to millennia, but they are in fact a fact of something that exists.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you would not go to say, there's a link here for ice hockey in Africa.
What?
So you would not go to that though, because that's too imposed, is it?
Listen, you know what? I feel like you set me up a bit.
I did set you up.
You really did. So Africa, I feel like, is, again, a more generic term. I'm certainly happy to go to ice hockey in Africa, but if the goal is to get to natural bodies of water like lakes, I don't know that ice hockey in Africa is going to get us there, because here's a spoiler alert, fun fact about Africa. It is straddling the equator and tends to be a bit warmer. So I would imagine most of the ice hockey going on in Africa is happening indoors in artificial rinks and not outdoors at naturally frozen lakes. Because again,
you're 100% correct. There's
equatorial.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt that you're right about that. What it would do is get us to Africa, which then we would have to take a geographic route, I think, to get to like Cameroon, for instance.
100%. Yeah. So why would you want to do that if it guarantees that we have to go geographically?
I mean, I agree. Although I don't know that there's going to be a path that we can possibly take that isn't going to have. I mean, do you think if we get to lakes in general, we're going to get to this? Because it's just such a limited thing that happens so rarely. Is it going to just be like in a general lake?
It happens exclusively in lakes.
Oh, for sure. But my concern is that it will not be on a lake Wikipedia page, that it will not be, you know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you.
Limnic eruption itself may not be linked on the lake Wikipedia page,
right?
But I guarantee you that either a category or something on the lake Wikipedia page is going to be like fucked up shit that happens in lakes.
Okay. Okay. All right. You're probably right about that. So your argument was to go to where then to get to there?
So if you go up to the precursors section.
Yeah. Oh, that particular lake. Right.
The morning game of a particular lake.
Yeah. The Great Bear Lake or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could go for that. I will say too that ice rink is linked on here, or ice skating rink, which if you mouse over says an ice rink is a frozen body of water and or hardened chemicals where people can ice skate or play winter sports. So I understand that a rink is generally thought of as a man-made thing.
Generally thought of as couldn't you just trim that down and say it is a man-made thing?
Well,
how many natural rinks are there?
Well, I don't know, but as I said, this reads an ice rink is a frozen body of water. So in that case, it is not saying it is a man-made body of water. It is
okay. So if we click,
any body of water.
If we assume that links to body of water,
yeah,
then we have to click on lake, and then we can get into the funky lake stuff. If we go to Great Bear Lake, we know it's going to link to lake.
Do we?
We do, in fact.
All right.
We do.
All right. Well,
Great Bear Lake it is.
If we do, then we do. So I have to find that now. Precursors.
Again, it's under the precursor section, which is just after
there it is.
the
Great Bear
section.
Lake. I got it. Okay. Great Bear Lake. That's in Canada. Look at that.
Here we go. It is the largest lake entirely in Canada. Congratulations. Well done.
Oh, yes. And lake entirely in Canada. List of lakes in Canada is what that links to.
Bravo. Well done.
I see Great Lake, Lake Superior, Lake Huron.
So many fun things here.
The 8th largest lake.
The Pleistocene is linked.
I see some particular rivers that are linked here. Yeah, I see Pleistocene. I see sedimentary and metamorphic and igneous intrusions. Now, igneous intrusions, igneous itself is linked here. Now, that might be helpful because that could get us into volcanic, because igneous is volcanic rock.
So I will say that Igneous Intrusion was the name of the band I was in college.
Mm-hmm, sure.
There is also on the right-hand side, a link to, first of all, a little column that has a lot of information about Great Bear Lake. And one of the categories that it talks about is the lake type,
mm-hmm.
which for Great Bear Lake is glacial.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hover over lake type, it takes you to lake.
Oh, look at that.
There's a lot of great, I tell you what, for you geologists out there, and again, I know a lot of in popular culture, people think geologists only study rocks, and that's not true because geologists study natural phenomenon of the earth, of which
dirt.
Lakes certainly are a part because they are an opening which is then filled with water. And a geologist is going to have a great time on this page. There's a color-coded climate section which shows the hot and cold sections of the year, which is delightful.
Yep.
There's a section on human use.
So this there's also, and I don't know what this is, but there's a lakes portal linked on here. Do you know what a portal is as far as Wikipedia is concerned?
Is it like a categories page? I will also say that the most stunning thing on this page, because there's a lot of the type of stuff that you would expect would be linked or present on any Wikipedia page about a lake. But if you scroll down to the cultural significance section, the first subsection is called The Prophecy.
Huh. What is that? What is that talking about?
Great Bear Lake is a paramount in the, and I'm absolutely going to mispronounce this because it is a word with not only accents above letters, but I believe they're called accent aigus below letters. But the
No,
Deline,
they're not. But
what are they called?
Well, accent aigu is actually that accent that you see on the E there, and accent grave is if it was going the other direction, and that at the bottom is called a circumflex.
Circumflex. Okay, cool. So there are all kinds of marks above and below letters that I, as a monolinguist, have not previously experienced in my life. But it's
I was wrong. It's not the circumflex is the little tent above it. Gotcha.
So it's like a scythe, but hanging off the bottom of an L and an E. It's like if a crappy not a goatee, but like one of those chin beards that is very long and hairy and sort of curls up at one end.
Oh, it's called well, actually, this is just on the C. A sedilla.
Sedilla. Are you Googling this? There's no Googling. Anyway,
sorry.
In the Deline people's identities, laws, and cultures, hence conserving it is critical for the Deline people. An elder, as widely regarded as a prophet, has made over 30 prophecies which have been interpreted as having come true.
Mm-hmm.
His prediction for the end of times claims that as the world dries up, the little remaining life will flock to and end on the banks of the Great Bear Lake. Wow. I will say that end of times prophecies, the ones that have become falsifiable by having their dates show up, have been universally wrong. Yeah. So this guy's probably also wrong. But I love a good prophecy.
Who knows?
Even if they're wrong. But bravo for this dude for putting his claim on the matter.
All right.
There is a lakes portal, but I really like the link to lakes generally.
So you think,
unless you feel like Lakes Portal is going to take us to the specific lake that had this limnic eruption?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's certainly possible, but that feels a little geographical for sure. Do you think that lake is a better direction than volcanic?
Ooh, you see volcanic. Where do you see volcanic?
I don't, but I see igneous is on here, and igneous will get us to volcanic.
I like volcanic. But I do like volcanic as it associates with lakes, because you got to have the both. You got to have the volcano. You got to have the lake.
I don't disagree with you.
So I guess the only point I would make is if we go igneous gets us to volcano, because igneous rocks are formed in volcanoes. So I have this right?
I mean, they're formed from like magma and things like that.
All right. So igneous will get us to volcano, but if we go to lakes, then we're already at lakes.
You're not wrong. I agree that we're at lakes. I mean, if you think, if we think that limnic eruption is more closely connected to lakes than it is to volcanic and the eruption side, then I'm happy to go to lakes. But
I'm not sure. My pitch for that would be this: you can have a volcano without having a limnic eruption, but you can't have a limnic eruption without having a lake.
But you can have a lake without having a limnic eruption.
Correct. But I feel like...
And you can't have a limnic eruption without having a volcano.
A limnic eruption exclusively happens in lakes. So I feel like lake is the smaller restricting factor that gets us there. Because there are a lot of volcanoes that have nothing to do with lakes. That's not going to get us any closer to limnic eruption.
I would argue there's way more lakes that have nothing to do with volcanoes.
Yes, but the limnic eruption is not a phenomenon that happens inside a volcano.
I
the limnic eruption is a phenomenon that happens inside a lake. So in terms of which of the two you would associate limnic eruption with, I feel like it merits a greater association with lake than it does volcano for the reasons previously stated.
All right. Well, then let's give it a try. But my concern, and I will just say this, is that if we do go to lake and it is not on that page, where will we go from there? Versus if we go to volcano and it's not on that, or igneous and to volcanic and it's not on that page, then we absolutely have paths out more toward things like lakes, right? Because you're going to have like, there are definitely lakes like Crater Lake that were created by a volcano. So you're going to be able to
first of all, Crater Lake was not created by a volcano.
What?
Crater Lake was created by a meteor.
Crater Lake was? I thought Crater Lake was in the caldera of an old volcano.
No, that's why it's a fucking crater, man. Because it got hit by a meteor.
All right. Well, there are lakes that are formed in the calderas of extinct volcanoes. So I'm naming the wrong one, but my point is that you can get to lakes from volcanoes more easily, I think, than you can get from volcanoes from lakes.
All right. I also realized that my incredible insistence on the cause of Crater Lake may be completely unwarranted. But
I could be wrong for sure. I'm not.
No. Listen. I got into defensive podcast co-host mode, and I was thinking. I wasn't thinking of Crater Lake, to which I've never been. I was thinking of the crater in the middle of like the Arizona desert.
Oh, okay.
That was featured in the movie Starman, starring Jeff Bridges.
Yes, sure, yeah.
Which was definitely caused by a meteor.
There you go.
All right, meteorite, I should say. So, lakes it is. We agree.
No, we don't. But I will follow you because you're often more right than I am. So let's give it a go.
All right. So on the right-hand side, there is lake type. If we click on that, here we are at lakes. And also, I will say, during the pandemic, I've had a fair amount of insomnia. And one of the things that I watch when I'm up in the wee hours of the morning to sort of soothe me back to sleep is the Joy of Painting starring Bob Ross, which is available on Amazon Prime.
Sure.
And the first couple of pictures immediately make me think of the soothing and calm voice of Bob Ross and the gorgeous landscape paintings that he does. And the further I scroll down, the more I just see Bob Ross in every single picture on the right-hand side of this page. So bravo, Bob Ross.
Sure.
For everything you've given us.
Hey, Jethro, I was just looking through this page real quick while you were talking, and I almost fell asleep because Bob Ross, because that's what happens with Bob Ross. There's a section in here called Volcanic Lakes.
Ooh, are there?
Yeah, and it says crater lakes are formed in volcanic craters and calderas, which fill up with precipitation more rapidly than they empty via either evaporation, groundwater discharge, or a combination of both. Sometimes the latter are called caldera lakes, although often no distinction is made. An example is Crater Lake in Oregon.
Yeah, I tell you what, my decision to backpedal my certainty before we found this fact out is really paying off for me.
But I still feel very vindicated.
Again, your vindication is blunted by my humility.
I do sort of wish that our limnic eruption had been in this section, or perhaps in the section on tectonic lakes. It was not in either of those. Unfortunately, there is a Hutchinson published a monograph titled "A Treatise on Limnology." We're going to see limnic in here a lot, I have a feeling.
Do we?
Well, I mean,
limnic has to do with
mentioned is a reference to fresh water, right? So,
I will say, folks, however much you think you know about lakes right now, you're barely scratching the surface on the amount of information that there is to know about lakes, because there is a bounty of information here for you to dig into.
I agree 100%. And quite frankly, if limnic eruption is not on this page somewhere, we're going to be in some trouble. I have a feeling, because
there is a section called limnology.
Yeah. Well, limnology is just the study of freshwater lakes.
There you go.
Or perhaps just the study of lakes. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm not even sure if it's necessarily freshwater. Lava lake. We've got lava lake. We've got a lot of mention of quake lakes and lakes formed by tectonic, movements and activity and volcanoes.
There's a list of lakes by area, by depth. List of lakes by depth would definitely get us to. Matt, are you having a seizure or have you found something of interest? I missed all of that audio. By the way.
Oh, did you? Did I go out? Oh,
you did.
No.
I will also say that you've made absolutely no use of the Christmas soundboard that you introduced.
I know. It's tough because it's on the same. Here, let's try this. Oh, hey, wait! I see something.
What's this? What's this?
Okay, there we go. I've found it. It's right here.
Have you now?
Yes, I have.
Where is it?
Head down to characteristics, and about 3 or 4 paragraphs down, you'll see a thing that says exceptional events such as earthquakes or landslides can cause mixing, which rapidly brings the deep layers up to the surface and release a vast cloud of gas, which lay trapped in solution in the colder water at the bottom of the lake. This is called a limnic eruption.
Hooray! We did it.
Is. And there's examples of there's Lake Nyos in Cameroon, and
there you go.
So on and so forth. So there it is. Limnic eruption is right there.
Fantastic. We did it.
Yeah, not terribly surprising that it would be on the lake page. I am curious to go back and see if it's also
time out here. Not terribly surprising that it would be on the lake page. You poo-pooed the lake page. You wanted to go to Volcano. You were like, let's go to Volcano.
For sure I did. But after seeing the lake page and seeing how big it was, it doesn't surprise me a bit.
Apology accepted.
Not apologizing.
Yes.
In fact, I think I'll go back and take a look at Igneous and see what happens. But yeah, so there you go. So it is on there. Limnic eruption is there, and we have reached it. We have found it, and it is described very much the same way that that it was described to us by Kaitlin.
Kaitlin Moore is not screwing around. She knows her stuff.
No.
So Matt, I guess the big question then is how many links did it take us to get here relative to our individual guesses?
A fantastic question, Jethro, and it took us 4. It took us 4 links once again, 4 links, as it did last week to get to this location. So
that was very quick.
It was.
I mean, I guess it's the spirit of Alexander Ovechkin infusing us all to perform at our most optimal levels,
I suppose. So what did you guess there, man? If 4 was our destination, if 4 was our number, did you guess 4 once again?
I did not guess 4.
Okay.
In fact, I was a bit concerned because limnic eruption is a very specific geological event.
It is, yep.
And Alexander Ovechkin is a particular hockey player.
He is.
So I was a bit less enthusiastic about the speed with which we would get here.
Okay.
And also, given reversion to the mean, I felt that we were due for a longer journey than average.
Okay.
So with these provisos and qualifiers, I will now reveal my guess.
Please do.
Which you will not be surprised to know is higher than my average guess.
Okay.
Given the circumstances that I have analyzed. So I guessed 7.
You guessed 7.
I guessed 7.
Well, I am.
So unless you guess 1, I think that you won this episode.
I am excited to tell you that I guessed 6.
Well, congratulations.
And did a little Snoopy dance.
On an amazing victory. Well deserved.
Finally did it. Yeah. I don't know that it matters too much, but I did do it, and I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to see that you guessed 7. I when it only took us 4 and I'd guessed 6, I thought, oh man, I'm in trouble again. But no, it worked out well this time. And there we go. So and we don't have to do a race either, which is good because I don't have to find out if Igneous actually takes us to something else. But Alexander Ovechkin to ice hockey, to Great Bear Lake, to limnic eruption. And folks, that's our little gift to you this holiday season. 4 steps and hopefully some new information into your brain that you didn't know before.
There you go. And Merry Christmas to all. And to all, good night.
Hey everybody, Matt Hartman here. Thanks so much for listening to Drunkard's Walk. A big thank you to Jesse L.E. for our theme music and Nick Harmio for our artwork. Of course, a thank you to Kaitlin Moore for being our guest this week, and a big thank you to you for listening. If you enjoyed what you're hearing, please make sure you go on and give us a rating or review on iTunes or wherever you're listening to your podcast. And also head on over to Patreon, look for Drunkards Walk Podcast, and give us a couple bucks to keep this thing going. We would really appreciate it. And we wish you all a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, and all of those other things that are being celebrated this time of the year. Hopefully you're getting a chance to spend a little bit of time with those that are important to you. If you're not, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. I mean, hopefully we're important to you too, but not in the same way. Take care, everybody. Hey, everybody, this is Overtime. I'm Matt Hartman. Each week, I'll be giving you a little extra knowledge about something that happened in the past during the week of our release. This week, we look at the week of December 21st. And for this one, I want to play for you an excerpt from a Christmas special and album entitled John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together, as we head to Austria on December 24th, 1818. To be clear, all the rights here belong to those holding them, and this is being used solely for educational purposes. Enjoy.
On December 24th, 1818, the curate of a parish in Oberndorf, Austria, Joseph Moore, gave a poem that he had written to a friend of his, Franz Gruber, who was also the choir master and organist in that church. He asked Mr. Gruber if he would write music for his poem, and that he might write it for 2 solo voices and guitar accompaniment. Because the organ being broken, he desperately wanted music to be part of their Christmas Eve service. Mr. Gruber wrote the melody to a song which has become the most beloved of all Christmas carols. Stille Nacht, in English, Silent Night. Schlaf in himmlischer Ruhe. Sleep in heavenly peace. Merry Christmas, you guys.